The public execution asterisk. The giant screens flashed in the sky above the alien city of Rigor 7. Thousands of creatures from different species filled the open square. Tall buildings made of glowing crystal surrounded them. The air was thick with excitement, but also with fear. In the center of the square stood a raised platform. Bright lights focused on it. Chains rattled as an alien warrior was dragged forward. She was tall, with silver blue skin that shimmered under the lights. Her long black hair hung down, and her piercing golden eyes stared calmly ahead. Her name was Zira. The guards pushed her down to her knees. Heavy metal cuffs locked her arms and legs. Behind her, a tall machine stood ready, a sharp execution blade hanging above her head. The crowd cheered. Some shouted insults. Others threw small objects at her, but Zira didn't move. Her face stayed calm, her eyes strong. She was not afraid. She had already accepted her fate. High above, in a private balcony, members of the Galactic Alliance Council watched. They whispered to each other, smiling. This execution was their show, a warning to anyone who dared question their power. But not everyone in the crowd was cheering. Standing near the edge of the square, blending in with a group of travelers, was Captain Ryan, a human officer from Earth. He was not supposed to be here. His mission was on a nearby planet, but when he heard about this execution, he came to see it himself. Ryan stared at Zira. Something about her didn't feel right. The Alliance claimed she was a dangerous terrorist, guilty of attacking supply ships and breaking peace treaties, but Ryan saw no hate in her eyes, no rage, only sadness. And something else, dignity. A loud voice boomed from the speakers, breaking Ryan's thoughts. Zira of the Valari people, you have been found guilty of crimes against the Galactic Alliance. For murder, treason, and rebellion, you are sentenced to death. The crowd roared again. The executioner, a large alien with metal armor, stepped forward. His hand hovered over the control panel that would drop the blade. Ryan's fist tightened. His instinct screamed that this was wrong. Then he noticed something strange. The alien guards near the platform were whispering nervously. One of them held a small data pad, quickly hiding it when another officer approached. Ryan's sharp military eyes caught it. They were not focused on the execution, but on hiding something. Corruption. Ryan's heart pounded. Was this execution based on lies? Was she innocent? The executioner raised his hand. The blade began to hum. Ryan couldn't stay silent. Stop, he shouted. Stepping forward through the crowd, the entire square froze. Thousands of eyes turned toward him. Even the council members above leaned forward, surprised. Who dares interrupt official Alliance justice? The announcer growled. Ryan stepped onto the platform, raising his hands. I am Captain Ryan Carter of the Earth Defense Command. I demand a review of this execution. Gasps spread through the crowd. The council members whispered angrily. One counselor stood and shouted from the balcony, "This human has no authority. Here, remove him." Guards rushed forward. Blasters pointed at Ryan, but Ryan didn't move. I saw your guards hiding evidence. This trial is flawed. If you execute her now, it is murder. The executioner hesitated, looking at the council for orders. The lead counselor's face turned red with anger. Arrest him, both of them. The guards charged. In one swift motion, Ryan pulled a hidden blaster from under his jacket and shot. The chains holding Zira. The metal cuff sparked and snapped open. Zira's eyes widened in surprise, but quickly understood what was happening. Run, Ryan shouted. The crowd screamed as chaos broke loose. People scattered in panic. Guards fired wildly. Ryan and Zira ducked behind the platform. Blaster shots lit up the square. Smoke filled the air. Guards shouted orders, but the crowd made it hard to aim. Zira grabbed a fallen guard's weapon. This way, she yelled, leading Ryan toward a narrow alley behind the square. They ran, dodging blasts and pushing through panicked aliens. Alarms rang across the city. The council's face appeared on every screen, shouting orders for their capture. Ryan followed close behind, his heart racing. He knew what he had just done. He had attacked Alliance officers. He had helped an enemy escape. He was now a traitor, but deep inside, he felt something even stronger. He had done the right thing. As they slipped into the shadows of the lower city, Zira stopped and looked at him. For the first time, her voice was calm, but curious. Why? She asked. Ryan breathed heavily. Because something about this is wrong, and I don't leave innocent people to die. Zira stared at him for a moment, then nodded. Then we run together, human. They escape the narrow streets of the alien city twisted like a maze. Neon signs glowed above, casting strange colors on the walls. Strange creatures moved through the dark alleys, watching the two fugitives race past them. Ryan followed Zira closely as she led the way. Her movements were fast and precise. She knew these streets. She had grown up here. The distant sounds of alarms and shouting guards echoed. Behind them, faster, Zira said in a sharp whisper, "They are close." Ryan's lungs burned as they sprinted through tight turns, climbing over piles of metal crates and ducking under hanging wires. His mind raced too. He had just attacked his own alliance. He was now officially a traitor. There would be no going back. Behind them, several bounty hunters joined the chase. The Galactic Alliance had already placed a price on both of their heads. Too many in this corrupt city. Capturing them meant power and wealth. Ryan paused briefly at a corner, glancing behind. He saw several heavily armed bounty hunters pushing through the crowd, scanning for their targets. Zira pulled his arm. "No stopping. We have little time." They slipped into a hidden passage behind a storage building. The inside was dark, lit only by faint blue lights from the ceiling. Strange machines hummed around them, forgotten and broken. Ryan whispered, "Where are we going?" "Underground," Zira replied. "To the old tunnels. They won't search that quickly." As they crept deeper into the building, the noise outside grew faint. Only the sound of their breathing and the hum of old machines filled the air. Finally, they reached a locked metal door. Zira pressed her hand against a hidden panel. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a narrow staircase that spiraled downward. They entered. The air grew colder as they descended. Water dripped from above. The walls were covered in old symbols from long-forgotten times. Ryan guessed these tunnels were hundreds of years old. "This place is not on any map," Zira explained. "Even the Alliance avoids it. Too dangerous for them." Ryan looked around, breathing heavily. "You seem to know a lot about this city." "I lived here before the Alliance came," Zira answered, her voice softer now. "Before they took control, before they turned everything into lies." Ryan paused. "They say you attacked supply ships, that you killed civilians." Zira stopped walking and turned toward him. Her golden eyes locked on his. "Did I fight? Yes, but I attacked only military ships, the ones carrying slaves and stolen resources from my people. I never harmed innocents. But they called me a terrorist to hide their own crimes." Ryan studied her face. She spoke with calm certainty. He saw no signs of lying, only pain and pride. "I believe you," he finally said. Zira's eyes softened for a moment. "Then you're a rare human." Suddenly, they heard voices echoing through the tunnels above. The hunters were getting closer. Zira quickly pulled Ryan into a small side chamber. They crouched behind old crates as heavy footsteps approached. Two large bounty hunters entered the tunnel, scanning with glowing visors. One was a tall lizard-like creature, the other a four-armed mercenary carrying heavy weapons. "They went this way," the lizard hissed. Ryan whispered, "How do we fight them? We're trapped." Zira looked at the old crates. "We don't fight directly." She quickly opened one crate, revealing old power cells. They were unstable, very dangerous. She carefully twisted the wires together, creating a makeshift trap. "When I say run," she whispered, "run fast." The bounty hunters moved closer, their scanners beeping. "There you are," one shouted, raising his blaster. Zira smiled slightly. "Run?" She tossed the charged power cell onto the ground between them and the hunters. As she and Ryan sprinted out of the chamber, the cell exploded behind them. A bright flash filled the tunnel. The hunters screamed as the shockwave knocked them to the ground. Smoke filled the narrow halls as Ryan and Zira kept running deeper into the maze. After several long minutes, they finally stopped inside a large underground chamber. The walls glowed softly with ancient energy. "We're safe for now," Zira said, breathing hard. Ryan collapsed onto the ground, exhausted. "I hope you have a plan." Zira sat beside him, looking serious. "I do, but it's dangerous." She reached into her belt and pulled out a small data cube, glowing softly in her hand. "This contains proof," she whispered. "Proof of the Alliance's corruption, the slave camps, the secret killings, the stolen resources. Everything." Ryan's eyes widened. "You have this all along?" Zira nodded. "They fear this cube more than me. That's why they want me dead." Ryan stared at the cube, feeling the full weight of what he had stepped into. This wasn't just about one prisoner. This was about exposing a crime so large it could shake the entire galaxy. And now, He was part of it. The hidden truth asterisk, the ancient underground chamber, was cold and silent. Only the soft glow from the data cube lit Ryan and Zira's faces. The cube pulsed gently in her hand, like a living heart holding dangerous secrets. Ryan couldn't take his eyes off it. This could destroy the entire Galactic Alliance. Zira nodded. That's why they will hunt us until we are dead. She carefully placed the cube inside a small hidden pocket sewn into her clothing. Then she looked directly into Ryan's eyes. You saved me, human, but now you are part of this. Your name is on their list. They will not stop. Ryan leaned back against the stone wall. His mind was spinning. I never planned for this, he whispered. I was just an officer following orders. Zira's voice softened. Then why did you save me? Ryan paused. He had asked himself that question many times since he jumped onto that execution platform. Because something felt wrong. I looked into your eyes, and I didn't see a monster. Zira smiled softly, almost sadly. Not many humans can see that. Above them, distant footsteps echoed through the tunnels. The hunters were still searching. Time was running short. We can't stay here, Ryan said. No. Zira agreed. We move at first light. They rested briefly, sharing some dried alien fruits Zira had in her bag. As they sat together, Ryan asked, How did you get the data cube? Zira looked at him for a moment, deciding whether to trust him fully. Then she spoke. Years ago, I was a soldier. The Alliance promised peace between our species. My people trusted them, but soon we discovered their lies. They were taking our people, our children, and selling them as slaves. They were stripping our planets of resources, leaving our cities in ruins. When we protested, they called us rebels. Her golden eyes burned with anger now. I led a mission to infiltrate their secret base. We stole their files, the cube you see now. But many of my warriors died that night. I escaped. Since then, I've been hunted across every system. Ryan clenched his fists, and the Alliance covered it up. Yes, they control the news. They control the courts. They control everything. Ryan felt his anger growing. We need to get this cube to someone who can expose the truth. Zira's expression grew serious. There's one person, a neutral reporter, Yelen Myro. He works for an independent network on planet Kivara. If we reach him, he can broadcast the files to every world. The truth will spread faster than the Alliance can stop it. Ryan nodded firmly. Then that's our mission. Suddenly, a faint clicking noise made them freeze. The walls around them trembled slightly. Zira's antenna-like sensors on her head twitched. They're close, she whispered. They brought sniffers. Ryan cursed under his breath. Sniffers were small robotic drones designed to track movement, heat, and scent. Almost impossible to hide from. We need to go. Now, Ryan said. They stood quickly, gathering their small gear. Zira led them deeper into the tunnels, following ancient paths she remembered from her childhood. The walls were covered in old carvings, telling forgotten stories of her people's history, stories erased by the Alliance. The sounds of the sniffers grew louder. Mechanical buzzing echoed through the tunnels. Small red lights danced in the darkness behind them. The chase had begun again. Ryan and Zira sprinted down twisting paths, jumping over collapsed rocks, ducking under low ceilings. The sniffers followed, their sharp metal claws scraping the stone floor. Suddenly, they reached a dead end. A solid stone wall blocked the tunnel. Zira panted heavily. There should be a door here, somewhere. The sniffers were getting closer. Ryan pressed his hands against the wall, feeling for anything unusual. The ancient carving seemed decorative at first, but one symbol looked different. A small circular mark. Here, he shouted. Zira pressed her hand on the mark, and with a soft hum, a hidden door slid open, revealing a narrow passage behind. They slipped inside just as the sniffers reached the dead end. Inside, the tunnel grew even tighter and darker, but they kept moving forward. Their only light was the soft glow from the cube. After many tense minutes, the tunnel finally opened into a wide underground cavern. Strange plants glowed softly on the walls. A hidden underground lake reflected the lights like a giant mirror. We can rest here, Zira whispered. Ryan collapsed onto a flat rock, breathing heavily. We need a ship, he said. How far is Kivara? Far, Zira replied, but I know someone who can help us get off this planet. If they haven't betrayed me. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Can we trust them? Zira's voice grew cold. Trust is rare in this galaxy, but it's our only chance. Ryan stared at the glowing lake in silence. The journey ahead would be dangerous, But there was no turning back now. They were not just running for their lives anymore. They were running for the truth. Asterisk the councils. Hunt asterisk. The next morning, faint light from the rising twin sun seeped into the hidden cavern through small cracks above. Ryan and Zira sat beside the glowing underground lake, quietly preparing for their next move. Zira studied a small holographic map projected from her wrist device. There's a contact not far from here. He operates a hidden landing pad in the northern sector. If we reach him, we can get a ship. Ryan nodded. If we reach him before the council's hunters find us, Zira's golden eyes narrowed. They will not stop. The moment you fired that blaster on the platform, you became their enemy. They want us both dead. Outside the hidden tunnels, the Galactic Alliance had activated full pursuit. Massive holographic images of Ryan's face now covered every major city in the system. The words under his face read, "Wanted, human traitor, dead or alive elite." Bounty hunters poured into the system, lured by the huge reward. Mercenary ships circled the skies. Scanning every sector, patrols searched door to door. No one would offer shelter to a man marked as a traitor. High above the planet, aboard the Grand Alliance flagship, the council watched the search unfold. "He has chosen his side," growled one counselor. "He has chosen death," added another. The council's leader, a tall thin creature with sharp green skin, spoke calmly but coldly. "Send the elite assassin squad." In this. Down below, Ryan and Zira carefully left the safety of the underground tunnels, entering a thick alien forest outside the city. Tall, glowing trees rose around them. Strange creatures watched from the shadows, but at least here, the Alliance. Patrols had trouble navigating as they moved quietly. Ryan asked, "Why does the Alliance fear you so much? It's not just the data cube, is it?" Zira kept walking but answered softly, "The cube holds proof of their crimes, yes, but I represent something even more dangerous to them." "What?" "Hope," Zira whispered. "Hope that their power can be broken." Her words hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, a loud humming noise filled the forest. The trees shook as small scout drones zipped overhead, scanning for heat signatures. "Down," Zira hissed. They dived into thick bushes, covering themselves with large alien leaves. The drones passed slowly, their scanners sweeping the area. Ryan held his breath, barely daring to move. The drones lingered for a long moment, then flew off. "They're everywhere," Ryan whispered. "They won't give up." "No," Zira said, "not until we are dead." They continued moving until they reached the outskirts of a hidden settlement, a place called the Smuggler's Nest. It was a lawless zone where criminals, traitors, and outcasts gathered, a place where the Alliance had little control. Here, Zira's contact operated. As they entered the settlement, many eyes followed them. Alien traders bartered loudly in strange languages. Modified ships sat half buried in the dirt. Dangerous-looking mercenaries watched every movement. Ryan stayed close to Zira. "Are you sure your contact will help us?" Zira didn't answer. Her eyes scanned the crowd carefully. Finally, they approached a dark metal building guarded by two rough-looking alien guards. Zira stepped forward confidently. "I'm here for Kellen," she said firmly. One guard hissed. "Kellen doesn't like trouble." Zira crossed her arms. "Tell him I have credits and information." After a tense pause, the guard tapped a communicator. A few minutes later, the heavy door slid open. Inside stood a short, white alien with 4 arms and tiny black eyes. "Kellen." He grinned. "Zira, still alive, I see, for now," Zira replied coldly. Kellen glanced at Ryan. "You bring a human, bold." Ryan stayed silent, watching Kellen carefully. "I need a ship, Kellen," Zira said. "Fast." "Quiet." Kellen scratched his chin. "Everything has a price, Zira. You'll be paid," Zira answered. "You owe me," Kellen laughed. "I suppose I do." He led them inside. The building was filled with stolen goods, weapons, and crates of illegal tech. In the back, a small starship sat ready, but as they reached the ship, Ryan noticed something wrong. The side door was slightly open, and fresh footprints marked the dusty floor. Before he could speak, alarms suddenly blared. Kellen's voice grew cold. "I'm sorry, Zira. The price was too high. The council pays better." The heavy doors slammed shut. Hidden turrets lowered from the ceiling. Pointing at them, "It's a trap," Ryan shouted. Zira grabbed her blaster and fired first, hitting the control panel. Sparks flew, and the turrets jammed, buying them a few seconds. Guards stormed in from both sides. A fierce gunfight broke out. Ryan and Zira fought back to back, taking cover behind crates. Lasers flew everywhere. "This is getting old," Ryan shouted as he returned fire. "Welcome to my life," Zira replied, her voice calm even in the chaos. One guard threw a stun grenade toward them. Zira quickly kicked it back. The blast knocked several guards down. Finally, after a brutal few minutes, the remaining guards fled. Kellen lay on the floor, wounded, gasping. "They'll find you. You can't run forever." Zira pointed her blaster at him, but didn't fire. "You're not worth it." She and Ryan rushed to the ship Dot as the engines roared to life. Dozens of Alliance patrol ships swarmed into the sky. The true hunt was only just beginning. Asterisk. The redemption asterisk. The galaxy was changing Dot in the days following the Great Trial. Millions of beings across dozens of planets took to the streets. Protests grew into movements. Systems once loyal to the Alliance declared their independence. The Great Galactic Alliance that had ruled for so long began to crumble under the weight of its own crimes. Chancellor Vorok and many council members were now prisoners, facing trials of their own. The slave camps were being shut down. The stolen resources were being returned. The truth had finally broken the chains of fear, but for Ryan and Zira, the fight had left scars. They stood on a tall balcony overlooking the capital city. The sun was rising, casting golden light across the towers. The air was calm, but Ryan's mind was still restless. "You could go back," Zira said softly, standing beside him. "The humans will forgive you. You can return to your world, too. Your command." Ryan looked down at the crowds below. "After what I've seen, I don't think I could ever go back to that old life." He turned toward her. "I was part of their system, blind, following orders. I didn't see the suffering right in front of me." Zira touched his hand gently. "But you saw me." Ryan smiled faintly. "Yes, and I made a choice that day." The doors behind them opened, and the neutral representative stepped out. "The new council wishes to speak with you both." They entered the large meeting hall, where leaders from many systems gathered. No longer a council of power and greed, but one built on equality and trust. "We are rebuilding," the representative said, "but we need voices like yours to guide us." Zira's golden eyes glowed softly. "We are not politicians." "No," the leader agreed. "You are symbols of what can happen when courage faces corruption. We want you to help build the new peace between all species." Ryan looked at Zira. She nodded slightly. "We accept." The room filled with soft applause. But Ryan raised a hand. "One condition." The leaders grew silent. Ryan continued. "The people still suffer. Families were torn apart. Planets were robbed. We must not just punish the guilty. We must heal the wounds." The leaders nodded in agreement. "Then let's begin," Zira said. Weeks passed. Ryan and Zira traveled together across broken worlds, helping free the last slave camps, returning stolen resources, and reuniting families long separated. Their faces became symbols of hope throughout the galaxy, though the work was difficult. Every time they saw the smiling faces of rescued children, or the grateful tears of reunited families, they knew they had made the right choice. One evening, as they camped under the twin moons of a distant world, Ryan sat by the fire, watching the stars. Zira sat beside him, her head resting lightly on his shoulder. "You still miss your home?" she asked softly. Ryan stared into the sky for a moment before answering. "I thought Earth was home, but now I see home is not a place." He turned to face her. "It's who you fight for, who you stand with, and who stands with you." Zira's eyes glistened. "And who stands with you now?" Ryan smiled. "You." She smiled back and leaned closer. Their bond had grown stronger than words. As they watched the stars together, a soft breeze carried the sounds of laughter from nearby. Rescued families beginning new lives. Under the peaceful sky, the darkness that once ruled the galaxy had been pushed back. Light was returning. Their fight was over. But their story, the story of a human who dared to break the chains, and an alien warrior who refused to give up, would be told for generations across the stars. The galaxy would remember. A human saved an alien warrior. They stood together, and they changed everything.